Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this next season of Kamen Rider, which I have no idea what it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be better than Gotchard. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rider Time podcast here on the Morphin Network. I'm Mike, your host, and we're discussing Kamen. Oh boy, is this doozy of an episode? Well, it's actually not that big of a doozy, but I have so many things to complain about. And I think I already complained about it a bit in the previous episode, but we'll get right into it. It's episode 30 of Kamen Rider Gotchard. A rival appears, Gotcha and Juliet. And yes, it's another one of those pun titled episodes because the Japanese word for arrive is sanjo, as in Sanjo. And that first part, san, sounds very similar to the English word sun because that's the chemi involved. What I don't understand though is the sun chemi doesn't even show up in this episode. Why are you even naming it after it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you normally, like, it would have to have some kind of involvement in the episode. Like, even the Bahamut was involved because that's how it, a Kamen Rider Wind, God, I hate that name, transforms into, his rider form. And again, it's like, why? Like, if he could transform using two cards, what's even the point of the Gotchard driver to begin with? But yeah, because it uses the word san in the word sanjo, that's the pun for the sun chemi, even though the sun chemi doesn't even show up. So I figured I'd make my own pun, a soul rival, as in a singular, and it's spelled S-O-L as in sun. So it's like, ha, 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 ha. I countered your pun with one of my own. What are you going to do next time, Gotchard? I've got you booked, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a Shakespeare episode. One of my complaints in the previous week was, why are we jumping to having Hotaro having a love interest that's not renamed in this one? Because again, the previous two episodes were about Renge, like, we're giving her character focus, and they did establish that, hey, off screen, Sabimaru can't be in this episode because he needs to finish rebuilding Newton. And that was such a good hook to have a Sabimaru focused episode. We could have had a 2-part episode with Sabimaru right here, and it would have been perfect. And you could have had Renge not even appear in the first of these 2 episodes, because she's probably still in the village with her ground. She has to stay behind and help make sure that the hot spring thing is going swimmingly and there aren't any more land sharks like floating around. See, I can keep those puns going, guys. But no, so Newton was repaired off screen in his entirety. Sabimaru's back to normal. They're both back at school. Like, none was the wiser. And it's a Shakespeare focused 2-part episode, okay, first of all, having a Sabimaru, if you could still do a Shakespeare focused episode and make it about Sabimaru. As I mentioned before, like, having Hotaro have a love interest from his childhood could have been replaced with Sabimaru having a love interest as a child. And yeah, if he has to play Romeo, if Sabimaru has to play Romeo, that means our shy boy who can't speak normally without his tablet has to be able to deliver soliloquies on his own. Oh, light, what yonder thou may window break, 'tis Juliet that is the east, that is the sun. And so this would have been a lot of great character progression. Like, there could be like a thing where, like, he could not finish repairing Newton in time for the show, so he has to do the delivery by him without Newton's help. And like this would be a great character moment. And then we could ask the question, well, are we going to bring Newton back at this point? Or will Sabimaru go solo for the rest of the season? Because again, character development. This provided so many great opportunities. And again, with the whole secret love, like the subtle love interest between Renge and Sabimaru, having Renge become jealous of Sabimaru having a crush would have been more warranted, and it would have made more sense than Rine suddenly having feelings for Hotaro when Hotaro's childhood crush shows up. Because again, it's like, I know they're trying to push a relationship between Hotaro and Rine. They're really trying to push that. But the thing is, they don't have that much chemistry. They'd make great friends. Like, they can make really great friends, just not a relationship. There's not enough material we've seen thus far to make us believe that they have romantic chemistry. Do they have chemistry in general? Yeah, just not romantic. At least not at this point in time. It could develop later, just not yet. But Sabimaru and Renge, they've already had that romantic chemistry, which is why I take issue with the whole Hotaro having a childhood crush that Rine is jealous of, while Sabimaru doesn't get a focus episode here. It just seems kind of, it feels like Sabimaru got robbed. And, even if we did do a separate Sabimaru focused episode, and then separate from the whole Shakespeare thing, they still should have done a 2-part Sabimaru episode now, and then do the Shakespeare focus episode later. And here is why. There's a thing in the Western world called Shakespeare Day, which is April 23rd, because William Shakespeare was born in April 23rd, 1956, and 1956, and he died same day, April 23rd, 1616. I don't know if there was like a disparity in those days, and they decided, hey, let's make his official death day the same day as his birthday. But the point is, April 23rd to April 23rd, he lived for this amount of time. Wait, was it 56 or was it 54? Now I'm starting to forget myself. But the point is, 1550s, and then, hold on. Something doesn't feel right. Hold on. I feel really embarrassed right now. I feel really embarrassed right now. Yeah, it's 1564, of course. Like, I got the digits wrong. But yeah, 1564 to 1616, both April 23rd. So that's why April 23rd is Shakespeare Day. And William Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets, 37 plays, 3 short stories, and a collaborative work or two. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories of whether or not he even existed in the first place. But he was such a revolutionary playwright that he improved the literacy level of the entire nation of Britain in his tenure. Queen Elizabeth I was one of the most successful monarchs in human history. In terms of improving the quality of her people's lives. And Shakespeare contributed to that because a lot of people back then were very literate. They were more focused on farming and fighting. Those are the only 2 things. You're either a farmer or you're a soldier. But because Shakespeare became such a huge hit, it made people start wanting to become more well-read. And he had this amazing way with words. He revolutionized the English language. A lot of words were invented by Shakespeare. Hamlet alone introduced 26 new words to the English language. The word assassin came from Shakespeare. The idiom "just desserts" was from Titus Andronicus, and also from Titus Andronicus was the very first "Yo Mama" joke. Act 4, Scene 2. Villain, what hast thou done? I've done that of which thou can never undo. Hast thou undone our mother? Villain, I have done thy mother. And like roast battles, that was Shakespeare. Rap battles, kind of. Rap did not exist back then, but like the whole back and forth, that was Shakespeare. Like freaking, if you've ever seen Much Ado About Noting, oh man, the back and forth between Beatrice and Benedict is one of the best things about that play. And I definitely recommend watching the version with David Tennant and Catherine Tate as the main characters. Fantastic. Definitely don't watch the one where Keanu Reeves plays Don John, because that was not one of Keanu's best performances, unfortunately. And I'm the biggest Keanu fan around, so that's saying something. But hey, at least, Keanu Reeves can say, hey, I got to play a Shakespeare villain. It wasn't good, but at least I got to be one. So like, and of course, like, he was very progressive, like female empowerment, racial empowerment, LGBT representation, anti-colonialism, like every progressive value that is now considered like the prioritized talking points of wokeness. Shakespeare was the most woke person of his time period. Even in a society where everyone was anti-Semitic, he made a Jewish character one of the most profound and relatable characters in all of literature. So, like, that's saying something about him. So, with that in mind, going back to Gotchard, if they did a Shakespeare episode separate from a Sabimaru episode, they should do the Sabimaru episode first, because that way the Sabimaru two-parter would have aired on April 7th and 14th, and then the Shakespeare two-parter would have aired on the 21st and 28th, which is like right there in between. Like, they would sandwich between Shakespeare Day, which would be perfect. It would have been well timed. You have like just before Shakespeare Day, and then an episode just after Shakespeare Day. This would have been perfectly timed. But no, this two-part episode is going to end on the 14th, so don't even bother. Don't even bother. So like already, like, we have like two very big issues. And again, like, on its own, the episode isn't bad. I just feel like there's so much in terms of missed opportunities with this, in terms of compelling story writing. Because again, Renge gets two-part episode, Sabimaru doesn't. Hotaru gets a love interest, causing friction that wasn't really much potential for to begin with, and you squander a Shakespeare-related story on a week that's further away from Shakespeare Day than you could have made it. Yeah, so there's that. But moving on to the actual plot, it's springtime and it's the start of a new school year, because in Japan the school year starts in April, as opposed to September, which some schools do. In America, it's definitely like August or September. It used to be September, but now everyone starts mid-August. I don't know why they moved it back. Well, actually, I think I kind of have an idea, because back in the day when it would start in September, like right after Labor Day, fall semester wouldn't have enough days of the week before winter break. So you'd have like 2 or 3 weeks left of fall semester landing on January. And then you're going to have to start spring semester in February. And the issue with that is you have 3 weeks of school left, including a final. And right before that, you had to take a 3-week sabbatical, which means you're probably not in the zone anymore. So taking tests is going to be much harder for you. I get that. But, the fact that we have to start school in August is also pretty bad, especially if you're a Power Rangers fan and you want to go to Morphicon. That's kind of tough because Morphicon lands on like the second Friday of the school year instead of the week before the school year starts. But that's also another issue about the American school system, that not all schools are consistent with when semesters start and when semesters end. In Japan, whether you're elementary school, middle school, high school, university, everyone starts the trimester on the same day, the exact same date, in this case, early April, and then they finish the trimester on the same date. They start the summer trimester on the same date, and then finish that trimester on the same date. Then the fall trimester start and end on the same date. So, I kind of like that consistency of everyone starting at the same time, which is great. I wish American schools would adapt that, but it is what it is. So, new school year. Hotaru is now a senior. We're introduced to something very interesting. We have a comedy club that features, surprise, surprise, Kijino and Sonosa from Dawn Brothers, and it feels so surreal seeing the two of them make that cameo, because it's like Dawn Brothers ended last year, like over a year ago. Like, it's 2 Sentai seasons ago, and here we have Kijino and Sonosa doing a comedy routine in Kamen Rider Gotchard. And even like Sonosa's actor, he's got like a giant staff with him, just like how Sonosa in Dawn Brothers had a spear. So that is a weird thing to see. So the main plot is Hotaro's childhood crush is a transfer student at their school, and Yamato is their homeroom teacher again. And it's like, we were having a crush. And she is very creepy because she's seemingly stalking Hotaru, because when they meet with the president of the drama club, she ends up joining because it's like, we need to do a production of Romeo and Juliet. And then she just barges in. It's like, Hotaru, you need to be Romeo. I'll be Juliet. We'll have a kissing scene and no one can stop us. I'm like, backing away. And even even Sabimaru and Renge comments like, I wouldn't want her as my romantic rival. Yeah, her name has 99 in it, and with Hotaru having 1 in his name, 1 plus 99 equals 100. They're a perfect couple. I'm like, what about Rine? She has a 9. They make a 10. And again, they're not... I don't get why Rine is even jealous of this girl, because since when did Rine have a crush on Hotaru? There's not enough evidence for this. It's like, yeah, they're good friends, really good friends, like Bolin and Korra, but they're not but we don't see develop like Aang and Katara. It just feels weird and out of place. It's like, and if they spend more time showing that they might have feelings for each other, it would have worked better. Also, shout outs to the fact that, this is the first time when we see the main writer and the second writer being a romantic couple. Because when's the last time we got to see anything closely resembling that? I would say the closest we ever got was I think the closest we ever got to that was Sento and Banjo being queer coded together, but they were definitely not a couple because Banjo had his original girlfriend, and then he's got the alternate universe version of his girlfriend, and then he got that new girl from the new timeline in the Visa Next. So yeah, we don't often see anything resembling a romance between the main and second writer. Uh, I mean, if Kiba Yuji was affirmatively Kaiza instead of Masato Kusaka, then yeah, like we could have had that. Could have had that, but no. Now we've had a queer coded romance between a main writer and a dark writer, between Blade and Chalice, and it would have worked too, because like Da Vinci Code, Blade, Chalice, they make the Star of David together because of that one weird scene in the movie with Tom Hanks. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to that. But of course, because she's jealous, Irene runs off. And the only other thing to say about the episode is now we understand why Atropos is angry, and the reason she's angry is because Daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair, to change my underwear. Daddy wasn't there. Yeah, like, Atropos is mad at Rena because she saw Grayon as her dad, but I'm like, I don't think he's the kind of dad you want to look up to. Like, there are much better dads to look up to, like Kamen Rider Buster. He was a great dad. Like, you should look, like, that's the kind of dad you want to have. But instead, the person you look up to is more like Kamen Rider Kronos, where it's like, oh, no, he will just smack you to the side, calling you useless, and say, why don't you transform and roll out of my life? Okay, this review went into a dark place. We did briefly see Lachesis stay a baby face for a moment, because she's like, oh, she's hanging out with Minato not Minato, Yamato and Sensei, but then they're briefly interrupted by a Clotho who's like, you need to come back. Maybe Atropos will forgive you. Atropos will not forgive me. I'm not going back. But like, I'm gonna have to kill you if you don't join. Then you're gonna have to kill me, sis. And they have a fight sequence, and it basically goes almost nowhere other than, yeah, like, we have reason to not trust Lachesis because she did prevent Valvared from defeating Clotho. And I'm like, is defeating Clotho really that simple? Because you'd think he would have done it by now, and yet he hasn't. 30 episodes in, all three sisters are still alive. And now I'm thinking, okay, there's a huge target painted on Lachesis' back. How can we make it so that Clotho will reasonably be the first one to be killed instead of Lachesis? And I'm still going by she might sacrifice herself for Lachesis route, but the jury still is still out on that. Yeah, so we get a new amalgam that combines multiple dolls instead of just one, and this one uses the Blizzard Mammoth Kemi, and this one has an interesting design because it very much reminds me of Big Convoy from Beast Wars Neo, because it's got a giant blue mammoth going this way with like the mammoth head being right here and the arm becoming the trunk. Yeah. And the two humanoid arms are just like basically down here holding the legs of the mammoth, which honestly feels very suspect having me pantomime it, but again, pretty interesting design. very generic head-wise, but everything from the neck down, actually not a bad design. I actually kind of like the rest of it. Just the head could use more work and stuff. And I love how it's like the loss of father powers me. It's like so the power of sadness. Oh, okay. And of course, there's a confrontation between the childhood crush and Rina. It's like, do you have a crush on Hotaro? You do, don't you? I'm like, am I watching Shameless right now? Am I watching Shameless? Is Bulma being grilled about whether or not she's still into Goku right now? And if you watch Shameless, you know I'm talking about Bulma and Goku. And oh my god, really? It's like, when did this come from? Since when did she have romantic feelings for Hotaro? But of course, she gets changed, she gets frozen, and she's like, who's that child? Why is she next to that giant monster? Reading, explain, no time. Transforms, she struggles to fight, and Atropos is like, you're not as confident as you were before. You're back to being the sad loser you were in the beginning of the story. I'm glad I'm not your friend. Now I'm going to avenge my dad. Your dad? End of the episode. Again, like, everything I have to say about the episode, I already said. The action, it's all right. I still like the design of the Blizzard Mammoth. I like that it has cryokinetic abilities. Again, the biggest issue is, like, why is there no development for Sabimaru? Why are Rine and Hotaro suddenly thrown into a love triangle? Especially when it would have worked better with Sabimaru and Renge. And again, missed opportunity. And Shakespeare Day is not for another 2 weeks. So, missed opportunity. So, yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen in the next episode. This episode's an 8. It could have been a 9, maybe even a 10, if you just did some changes. Like, and again, on its own, out of context, the episode is not terrible. It's just a lot of bad decisions pulled it from being the great episode it could have been. And considering how much better the previous 2 episodes were, and I don't give that much praise to Gotchard in the past half a year. Like, we're 30 episodes in, and I rarely say anything good about Gotchard. But here I am, I actually liked episodes 28 and 29. I actually liked those 2 episodes. This episode could have been great too. I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. And yet, this is what we... Episode 31 better make up for it, but I'm not going to hold my breath on this. Let me know what you guys think. And we'll see you. Let's go to the comments. I'm sorry, but this felt out of place for Rina to be just exactly. Glad Kajiki brought the first love, but wants to be Juliet for comedy purposes. Yeah, I noticed that Kajiki is very extra. Like, I feel like if there was ever an LGBT representation character in this season, it would be him. Even though he's already had like a heterosexual romance with a character like way earlier into the season. But hey, look at you challenging gender norms. But to be fair, during the Elizabethan era, women were typically discouraged from participating in plays. So a lot of the female characters were played by men. So Juliet, in the original production of Romeo and Juliet, was very likely played by a man. Beatrice, very likely played by a man. Olivia and Viola, both probably played by men. Desdemona, definitely played by a dude. I think at some point women started participating in Shakespeare plays, Don't remember when exactly, but I don't think it was before Romeo and Juliet. So I need to like do some research on that because, like, look, man, just because I'm a huge Shakespeare fanboy doesn't mean I know everything about Shakespeare. But what's especially funny is that in Midsummer Night's Dream, the character Flute, who was a male character, was required to play a female character in a play within the play. Paramus and Thisbe. So you have a joke. So even Shakespeare even make fun of the fact that all the female characters are played by dudes. And he's like, I just started growing a beard. Well, you're gonna have to shave it because you're gonna put this dress on and be pretty for the wedding of Theseus and Hippolyta. Yes. So yeah, so I kind of do find it interesting. So like either Kajiki is challenging gender roles, or he's keeping the ancient Elizabethan traditions alive, and by ancient I mean from 450 years ago. Man, it's funny how our concept of the word ancient changes, just like the ancient cameo of a woolly mammoth. Okay, Clotho couldn't handle Type 3's power. Absolutely not. And I still praise the fact that Type 3 uses a counterfeit cameo from all three main writers. My only complaint is that Dread uses Steamliner instead of Hopper 1 because 1 plus 3 plus 6 equals 1 plus 3 plus 6 equals 10. It would have been perfect. Squandered opportunity. Now it just equals 18, which makes no sense. Atropos trying to make her feel weak yet again over the loss of her father. Yeah. I mean, both of their dads are dead, but to be fair, Atropos' dad killed Rene's dad first. So if you really think about it, it's kind of like Hamlet, because King Hamlet killed King Fortinbras. Prince Fortinbras is upset. He wants to go to war. King Hamlet is like, bring it on, little boy. I'll take you on. And of course he gets killed by Claudius because we don't want a war. And Prince Hamlet, the main character, is like, I think my uncle killed my dad and he married my mom. What's going on? So I think it's kind of like that, It's like, but you'd think that Rene should be the one who wants revenge more. But yeah, so expect a ghost of Grant say, I want you to avenge me. See how many Shakespeare references I'm making, like, without even trying? Kiji Brothers Son is like, exactly, just like the Huma gear at the end of Kamen Rider Saber. It's just there. He's like right there, out of nowhere. Fun fact: the actress plays the childhood friend is also from the 520th anniversary. I did not know this. I have not seen the movie yet. I know I ordered the Blu-ray. Still waiting on the Blu-ray. I think we'll Sana again for school dance episode. I don't want them to rip off Kamen Rider Forze. They've already ripped that off enough. Like, we don't need more of that. Sabi made another match math answer. Yes, but again, I like tens more than hundreds because 100 is 10 times 10. So it is what it is. And that's it for the comments, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Ding the bell icon to stay notified for our latest videos. And be sure to share because it helps us out with the algorithm. We do Kamen Rider Gotchard on Wednesdays, Tiga on Mondays, Boom Boom Jura on Thursdays, and Kamen Rider Kiva on Sundays. And this Sunday, we're doing the summer film Kamen Rider Kiva, the movie King of Hell Castle. So be sure to check that out this Sunday. And of course, check out our sister channel, The Buttery Show, where we do movie reviews, video game news, etc. We've recently finished the Naked Gun trilogy due to the 30th anniversary of Naked Gun 33 and 1/3, the final insult. So be sure to check that out on that channel. And if you want to check out my personal content, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Boken_Kabuto and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. And with all that said, guys, if we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended. If you've but slumbered here, sees visions did appear. And this week an idle theme, no more yielding but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon us, we shall mend. For as I am an Ospuck, and we have unearned your luck. Now let's escape the serpent's tongue and make amends here long. Else you puck will I recall. So good night unto you all. May we hold hands if we be friends, and Robin will restore amends.